Have you ever been wondering why in GTA, Rockstar constantly tampers with the names of certain things? You know, for example, the cities in GTA. Despite that they blatantly resemble the ones from the real world, Rockstar, for instance, instead of naming the city of GTA 4 New York, they called it Liberty City. So what that in Liberty City we'll find the same buildings? So what that the layout of the districts is pretty much identical, cause Broker is obviously Brooklyn, Dukes is Queens, Bohan is the Bronx, and Algonquin is Manhattan. They even threw in Alderney, which is an equivalent of the real-life state of New Jersey, located west of New York. Exactly how it is in the game as well. And that's not all, cause we ain't even mentioned other places like the Statue of Liberty, which Rockstar sarcastically enriched by adding a smiling face of Hillary Clinton and a coffee cup, there to symbolize consumers' lifestyle of people in America. And obviously, giving it an innocent cover of the Statue of Happiness, Camouflage Masters. Well, almost. Another example is Los Santos. Both in GTA San Andreas and in GTA 5, there's absolutely no doubt that the city that we get to explore in those titles is a blatant copy of a real-life metropolis, Los Angeles. What's interesting is that the name itself, Los Santos, doesn't go very far from Los Angeles. I mean, phonetically, sure, but meaning-wise, definitely not. See, Los Angeles in Spanish means the angels, while Los Santos means the saints. And as most of y'all probably know, according to the Christian religion, angels got a lot to do with holiness. So the question is, why all that? I mean, it's safe to say that the developers didn't try to deceive us that the cities portrayed in games aren't based on real life. After all, they didn't exactly put a lot of effort to make any differences from real life, be it in the visual or the nomenclature aspect. Cause Las Vegas is obviously Las Venturas in the GTA universe. Even a person who got hit in the head with a 40-inch baseball bat by Big Smoke and reduced the amount of gray matter in their brain to the minimum required to survive would still connect the dots here and correctly answer the question. On which authentic city was Las Venturas based? Unless you disagree with me, then I'd recommend grabbing some heavy item and, let me know in the comment. Interestingly enough, this name-twisting policy is present not only in cities, but in almost every element of the game. Cars are another great example, even though a vast majority are inspired by a real-life model or connect a few real-life models. Each has its own unique, made up by the developer's name. For example, this piece of art right here strongly resembles Mercedes W123, but in the game, it's called Admiral. Not only that, but in GTA 5, a fully fledged car brand system was introduced. So for example, we got a brand Grotti, which is an equivalent of Ferrari from real life. Grotti's got several models, whose names are very often similar to the car names from the previous games, like Grotti Turismo or Grotti Cheetah. This name-twisting policy also concerns restaurants, various products, or even gangs. Burger Shot is the in-game equivalent of Burger King. A drinks brand, Sprunk, is well associated with popular Sprite, while gangs like the Families or Ballas are a reference to the Bloods and the Crips, two real-life gangs. Other well-known examples are Coca-Cola, which in the game takes the form of E-Cola, or a satirical parody of Apple, iFruit. As you probably noticed, weapons are not an exception to that tendency. In this case though, we actually can find a few exceptions among the weapons in San Andreas, for instance. Guns like Tech 9, AK-47, or M4. Here, the names of these weapons in real life are in the game simply identical. However, in GTA 5, we won't find a lot of those. Even though the game provides an enormous choice of firearms, the majority of them are named literally. For example, combat pistol, carbine rifle, or machine gun, etc. Also, I remember that the names of some of the weapons in GTA Vice City were changed to the fake ones in the PC version, which was most likely caused by some legal issues, which makes up a decent transition to the first reason for which Rockstar implemented such a policy in their games. Just to be clear though, licenses are an important but not the only reason. In total, there are 10 reasons we're going to talk about today. In any case, licenses. If Rockstar wanted to put real-life brands into their games, on many occasions, they would have to first come to an agreement with the representatives of a given company, who'd have to give consent to use their logo and their product in the game. Of course, we're not living in a world full of altruists, and I don't think I have to mention that when someone creates a brand and leads it to big success, they won't miss out on any opportunity to monetize their work. To put it short, such deals cost, and a lot of money too. The bigger the brand, the more expensive the license. Just consider how many things there are in these games, for which Rockstar could get a license. If Rockstar did go on a license shopping spree, that would very significantly increase the cost of production. What's worse, a lot of brands would not like to be associated with a game in which some crazy lunatic with pubes on his head takes a crap behind a dumpster, only to then go on and torture some poor guy from Eurasia. The licenses would also bring certain limitations for Rockstar. The developers would have less freedom of design and implementation of some elements of a game. See, the licensors would undoubtedly give Rockstar certain guidelines concerning the image of their products in a game. To give you an example, a car would have to look exactly the same as its real-life equivalent, have the same performance, and let's say, strictly determined modification possibilities. The developers would then have to stick to the given requirements. Taking into account the sole fact that Rockstar likes to combine multiple real-life models into one vehicle, we can clearly see that a license would simply not be the greatest solution for them. Take Admiral again, which as we said earlier, has been based on Mercedes W123, but actually, the other side of the car resembles more a BMW E30, and there's a lot more examples like that in the series. The second reason we're going to talk about has already been briefly mentioned. Assuming a scenario in which Rockstar actually decides to purchase licenses, ignoring all those disadvantages that we discussed a while ago, it's far from granted that brands would even like to appear in GTA. On one hand, you would have thought that it's a very good thing for a brand to make an appearance in GTA. Not only Rockstar and Take-Two would pay them a lot of money for being able to use it in the game, but also it'd be a great advertisement. After all, GTA has a lot of players. However, the perspective of a situation in which a player picks up a hooker from the streets, drives into an alleyway where the main character is preparing for a passionate session with his female companion, with a billboard in the background with an ad of Nike and their slogan "Just Do It" is, well, that simply wouldn't look too good. And yeah, the meme fans would have a good laugh, but the companies aren't stupid, and they're aware that PR-wise, such a thing would hardly be beneficial. To summarize that, those two reasons that we talked about should already be enough to strongly discourage Rockstar from purchasing licenses, especially that in games like GTA, the vast majority of players don't feel the need to be driving a Mercedes W123 instead of an Admiral. Sure, in FIFA for example, licenses are an absolute must. The players in this case can't imagine not being able to play their favorite clubs or favorite players whom they watch and support in real life. Here, the licenses are crucial to preserve immersion. Same with Forza Horizon. It's really cool to drive an authentic car in a racing simulator. But see, in both of those cases, either in FIFA or in Forza, we're dealing with games concentrated on a specific field. FIFA is strictly about football, while Forza is strictly about racing and motorization. The licenses are an inseparable part of those games. Besides, even if one really wants to drive a Ferrari instead of a Grotti in GTA, with the current level of advancement of modding, such a replacement can be done in just a couple of minutes. But what would happen if Rockstar went all in and used brands without buying the rights to do so? Well, I think it's not difficult to guess what would be a result of that, especially if we look at a well-known example concerning the lawsuit of Haitian institutions for making a Haitian gang in GTA Vice City. It all ended with the developers losing a lot of money and having to wipe out every single mention about the Haitians in the game. So if even some nations are causing problems, the brands would be an even bigger issue. You know, let's say if the ballers were driving BMWs, the brand could have a problem with that. That everybody is associating their brand with some gangsters, and not just any gangsters, but the ballers. I mean, who'd want their cars to be driven by those purple dickheads? Another reason that we also already touched on before is that Rockstar, due to their tradition to fill their games with satire and to laugh at everything possible, has to have full control over their games in order to be able to do whatever they please. So we, players, have reasons to laugh. For example, let's listen to a Cluck and Bell radio ad.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, it's time for chicken.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, it's time for a feast. Eat a 90-piece bucket, you can tell.
He's been to Clucking Bell. The chicken is a bird with a tiny brain.
So we assume he doesn't feel any pain. We shrink their heads and we breed them fast. 6 wings, 40 breasts, then they're gassed. Cock-a-doodle-doo, we're psychotic crazies. Cock-a-doodle-doo, factory farming's insane. We denied it all before a stock price fell. Come down to Clucking Bell.
Clucking Bell! If you enjoy it, the chicken didn't die in vain.
It's not merely a parody, but literally pointing out in what conditions chickens are farmed. Those same chickens that are later made into some nuggets at KFC. Now imagine KFC allowing Rockstar with a smile on their face to speak openly about how the slaughter farms often look these days. That it's starting to resemble more a death camp than an actual farm. It would be a great way to lose some of the customers who often, despite being sensitive to this kind of stuff, are not necessarily fully aware of what's going on. Another example, Sprunk, in which we can apparently find a lot of suspicious substances that are not always that healthy for humans. Sprite's management team, having learnt of such a narrative being portrayed in the game, would definitely not be over the moon with that fact, to put it mildly. Going further, Eris, a shoes and clothing manufacturer in GTA and a parody of Nike, whose reputation was obliterated in one of the radio ads in GTA 3.
A good shoe starts from the ground up. At Eris, we make high-quality footwear. In fact, you can find Eris running shoes in over 140 countries around the world. In the past, there's been some criticism about our workers. That's why I'm here at one of the Eris factories so you can meet some of them. Excuse me, sir. Do you enjoy your job here?
It's fun. We get to play with knives.
I see. Is there a real sense of teamwork?
My friend Joey sewed his hands together.
Wow, you're learning some real skills. How about the salary and benefits?
Yesterday, I made $1.
See, that's the kind of dedication we have to our employees and the quality of our shoes. Eris running shoes. Always running from something.
Open talk about child labor, not giving a shoot about the work safety rules, not meeting the legal requirements concerning employees' salary. Nike would never give a green light to something like that. Rockstar, by resigning from the licenses, claimed double benefits. Not only can they laugh at companies, but they don't even have to pay to do that. Cause check this out, the names itself are sometimes pure poetry. For instance, a beer called Pisswasser from GTA 4 and GTA 5, which is a parody of a real-life beer, Budweiser, with a German-like name. And of course, you don't have to be a polyglot to know that Wasser in German means water, while piss both sounds like and means piss. So Pisswasser is piss water. It would be a huge shame to not be able to put all this artistic genius into the games by purchasing licenses. Yet another important factor in all this is that making up your own pseudo-brands makes them fully dependent on the main brand, Grand Theft Auto, thereby making it timeless. Cause what if, for example, in Vice City, Rockstar used a Mercedes model? And let's say that in 10 years' time, Mercedes bankrupted or disappeared from the market, or I don't know, maybe they'd been a part of some big scandal that ruined the company's reputation. What then? Well, then Rockstar's game loses in value because it contains a brand that has negative connotations, or that has been out of the loop for a long time, or nobody even remembers it anymore. Additionally, the GTA brand itself gains from the fact that it has original names associated with it. It's called brand building. So apart from quality content, each brand has to take care of introducing into their products as many unique elements as possible that'll unambiguously be associated with that brand. It's pretty much like the aforementioned Nike and its slogan, "Just do it." The more things like this, the more original and popular the brand can become. Over time, some of those things may become so iconic that they'll become more popular than the brands functioning in their own field. Cause the image of which model would come to your mind first? Banshees from GTA 3 or Dacia Sanderos? Banshee became so iconic that people created it in real life. Cause like GTA is not only famous for Big Smoke and his iconic quotes, but also those fake names like Banshee, Clucking Bell, Sprunk, Las Venturas, Families, and a lot more. Those immediately point at GTA in our minds. And in case those were real brands, we'd associate them with those brands and not with GTA. And there's one more thing that came to my mind after I remembered a recent video in which we talked about the remaster of Vice City Stories, or rather, why it doesn't exist. And there, as a main reason we gave the need to renew the license for Phil Collins, who was an iconic part of this title, cause as much as in the vast majority of cases, it makes more sense for Rockstar to make up their own brands and names. An occasional deal with someone makes up a good advert for them, which they use more often in GTA Online. And now, imagine that Rockstar, wanting to release the definitive edition or some mobile port, has to renew all those licenses. The cost of such an operation would be colossal and would hardly be profitable for them. So by taking real names into a game, Rockstar would also be limiting themselves in terms of porting their games or remastering them, and also in terms of re-releasing a game a bajillion times like in the case of GTA 5. So something that at first glance looks like a petty and innocent thing, in reality has a lot of rational reasons and marketing strategies behind it that undoubtedly played a big part in the series' success. So to summarize this video, here's a list of all the reasons for which Rockstar does not get a lot of licenses for their games. Thanks a lot for watching, a video about Woozie in which we discuss whether he's actually blind or maybe he's lying to CJ about it. Meanwhile, I'm saying goodbye, take care and see you soon.